The ANC's National Executive Committee is meeting at the St. George's Hotel in Irene to consolidate discussions around coalitions. At the same time, staffers from Luthuli House are expected to picket outside the venue after the governing party's failure to pay their salaries for 4 months. Newzroom Afrika's senior politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is there. Ziyanda, a very good morning. 4 months seems too much, and the employees of the ANC have decided to picket this morning, I understand.
And you'll recall that this is not the first time ANC staffers take their matters to the leadership of the ANC. They've done so at Luthuli House. In fact, at some stage, the go slow by ANC staffers actually impacted on the ability of the party to be able to put together lists ahead of the local government elections. And in fact, it was Ziyanda Ngcobo who is the general manager at Luthuli House, who had to pretty much beg them to at least assist the party through these elections while they still deal with the issues related to the payment of their salaries. I suppose the painful part here, Hugo, is that whilst these staffers haven't been paid for months, if you look at the money that the IEC, in terms of donations released recently, the ANC got around 33 million rand from donors in the second quarter of the year, as declared by the African National Congress. What is happening there? Why are these staffers not being paid? Well, we'll hear from the staffers when they arrive here this morning, Hugo, as to how they plan to take their battle going forward. But for now, a short while ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa arriving here at the St. George's Hotel, where the ANC-NEC will be meeting here this morning.
Ziyanda, I suppose what would be interesting is to establish what is that monthly salary bill that the ANC owes, and obviously what it works out to after 4 months of failing to pay.
Absolutely, and we'll recall that when they had their picket and they handed over a memorandum to Acting Secretary General Jesse Duarte, when they received the memorandum, part of what they had said was that also there's a lot of dead weight within, the staffers or the salary bill and those who are working within Luthuli House, so they do need to trim the fat, as Treasurer General Paul Mashatile had said. But it seems that the commitment that they've made, and that was in June, if my memory serves me well, at the end of June, July, they had said that they paid their salaries, but also they haven't been contributing towards their benefits, such as their UIF and pension fund, Hugo, which has been a matter of concern for these staffers. I think they would have missed an opportunity during these elections to really force the party to pay them, because you'll recall that when the ANC had issues with the submission of candidate lists before this deadline was extended, they were the party that was severely impacted by this, and a large part of this for them not being able to do this is because those staffers were not going above and beyond as they usually do in terms of their working hours. A lot of them weren't even working at all, or they were on a go slow. So we'll hear from the staffers as to what has been said about this matter escalating all the way to 4 months, but certainly a dire situation for these workers. In fact, the DA has also wanted to open a case against the ANC for failing to uphold, labor laws when it comes to making contributions for benefits for these workers.
Ziyanda, interestingly, a lot of peace and quiet where you are right now. Have the staffers arrived? And if not, when do we expect them to arrive and commence this picket?
Well, the staffers will arrive, but Hugo, I want to turn your attention to what's likely to happen inside now, where the ANC-NEC is meeting. I mean, this is the one party, interestingly, the governing party, that's remained quite mum this week about the coalition talks. We've heard from all the other political parties, the UDM, Action SA, the DA, the Patriotic Alliance, the EFF, IFP even, coming out to announce that deal that the ANC and IFP have together, but absolutely nothing from the ANC. And now, after this, in the last 48 hours, there have been significant developments in relation to the coalition talks with those smaller parties. On Friday, a statement was released by Action SA and the DA to say that a coalition deal has been reached for the cities of Tshwane and Johannesburg, where it would seem that Herman Mashaba would take over as mayor in Joburg, and DA, they would also put up their mayoral candidate. But then yesterday, John Steenhuisen says after the Federal Executive Committee met that they decided to go against this because they believe that Herman Mashaba is likely to work with the EFF. In fact, there was also a public spat between Helen Zille and Bantu Olomiso, who are basically saying and echoing the sentiments of Herman Mashaba that the approach by the DA in these coalition discussions has been arrogant, and they're saying that when you enter into these talks, there's no big party or small party. You all enter into these discussions as equals, and so this might benefit the ANC, which is why I'm mentioning it, because the cracks that are now showing just after it seemed as though this deal had been consolidated is likely to benefit the ANC in the cities of Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg and Tshwane, possibly, if the ANC and EFF could possibly work together. But you'll recall, Hugo, that EFF leader Julius Malema said earlier this week that he has closed the door on the African National Congress.
And final thoughts, Ziyanda. Obviously, talks by the ANC's NEC are centered around coalitions going forward. Do you think that in those talks they will have a chance to discuss these outstanding amounts that are owed to ANC staffers?
Of course they will, Hugo. I mean, there are many issues that are likely to be discussed. Another issue is, of course, consolidating, the January 8th statement, how they are planning to hold it. As far as I know at this stage, there are plans that are afoot to host it in Polokwane and Limpopo. Whether or not it will be hybrid or fully, or it will be full-on in person. These are also some of the things that would be on the agenda. The point here is that the staffers are now bringing their fights to the ANC, NEC, and are going to try and force the National Executive Committee to commit towards a plan which has timelines and dates that they now would be able to hold them accountable to.
Ziyanda Ngcobo, our senior politics reporter, coming to us from the St. George Hotel in Irene, where the ANC's NEC is scheduled to meet this morning. And some of the things that they will be talking about certainly is coalitions going forward. We'll be chatting to her as the morning progresses.